Hey, Ellen. Okay, here's your two finals. Much different quality of light. Great. And clean, attractive, very good. And then here you have a whole bunch of different angles of view that you chose. You were working hard on this, I could tell. That's great. And so I think this meter is new to you. This is the one that's new. So I'm going to give you some heads up on how to work it better. When you're in incident mode, yes, you want to have your Lumisphere on and up just like you do. However, you want to get that meter right up against your subject matter and meter the different qualities of light that are actually falling on the subject matter. So you would hold that meter right up, right up against that pole, facing back towards the camera's lens. And then you would take as many meter readings as you need to based on the different types of light. Like you might want to meter that shadow, this shadow, depending. Now in this case, the light's pretty directly following on the building, so you probably just metering the bright sunlight will be enough. But in more dynamic lighting scenarios, you would want to meter multiple times. For instance, here, I don't know if you can see my cursor. You would meter where the light is falling on the columns, and then back here in the shadow too. You'd meter back there. So you would stand in two different places with your meter, facing it back towards your camera's lens. If you're not comfortable standing that far away from your camera, you would just face it back towards where your camera might be. Because in these situations, you're just really metering the light that's following. The light that's falling just there, wherever it is that you're standing. You're metering the amount of light on this dirt, basically. Is what you know what I mean? So that's how that would work. So I think a lot of your exposures are a little off. A little underexposed, and I can promise you that that's why. So remember that light meter in incident mode gets intimate with your subject matter. It has to. I think this is an underexposure. I think the sky looks great, but we would expect to see more information in the shadows here. It's just a bit dark. So that might have been what was going on there, is because you were probably standing, somewhere over here, and you just were metering for the sunlight. So you would have needed to meter the shadows as well. Make note of both sets of exposures that you obtained, one from the light and one from the shadow, and then shoot somewhere in between. You would figure out how many stops difference there was between those two set of exposure settings, and then picked something in between. Like if you had 6 steps difference, you just chose the one that was 3 stops in between. You know what I mean? Okay, so that being said, like I said, this is pretty good. So you don't have a wide-angle lens, so you're probably shooting, do you tell me? Let's see, do you tell me? No. So you're probably shooting at, do you tell me there? No, you don't tell me there either. Let's just pretend you're shooting at somewhere between 35 and 50 millimeters, because that's what, somewhere in there is going to be the natural focal length lens for your camera. And so, I see about what I would expect to see at that focal length. Space isn't terribly compressed, it's not terribly expanded either. And then we have the taller the building gets, the further away it looks, the more angle we get there. So you talked about that. So what I find really problematic about these compositions, I think they're a good start. However, I would expect to see, perfectly parallel lines to the frame. So you can see this box I've made here. Can you see how I have an acute angle right there underneath the underneath that the building and the line that I've made? That means you really have to pay attention when you're shooting architecture that your lines are parallel to the frame of the image, or else be very intentional about them not being parallel to the frame of the image, because just this slight offness is problematic and caught by the viewer. I'm pretty sure it's happening here as well. I don't know, maybe not. I think it was happening on the ground. On the ground, people will be more tolerant of it because they get that the ground isn't always perfectly parallel. Is it happening? Just slightly. I mean, I can see on camera left that angle is just a little bit higher than it is on camera right. So that would be my advice. Usually viewfinders have grids ground into the glass, so you could use the grid to line it up. A lot of viewfinders will superimpose a grid over the viewfinder. Excuse me. That you can use to help line up your image, because just the level on your tripod isn't necessarily going to be enough. Really rely on the grid in your viewfinder. So like I said, I'd say this one is a little underexposed. I think it's a lot because of your metering technique, but that brand new meter is brand new to you, so you didn't know that. And then other than that, they look pretty good. Other than just watching your angles when you're shooting architecture, the lighting is great. on both of the images. That's nice, very different quality of light. So you definitely achieved that part of the assignment. This is weird too, that little tiny tree. Probably would have just gone with a tighter crop, honestly. But it's challenging without a whole family of lenses to choose from. This is a very challenging assignment. Okay, so nice job getting the new meter. Pretty nice lighting there. Nice lighting choices for sure. Thank you, Ellen.